Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair. Calm down and get your teeth again at the Sci-Fi Center. We got almost everything a geek could want at the Sci-Fi Center. You name it, we got it. Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and everything in between at the Sci-Fi Center.
Happy Wednesday and welcome to another couple episodes of Daredevil, the original Netflix series. Not to get confused, because I've been getting this question a lot with the upcoming Netflix series that's happening on March 4th. No, this is the prelude to that. We are going to try to reintroduce people into the series. And for the many of you who, the majority of people I know, who have not watched this series, so this is for you. This is so we can discuss it, talk about it, walk through it. Now, for those of you who are watching with us on Disney Plus, I tried to upgrade to the tier without commercials, but I have the bundle, which is ESPN, Hulu, and Netflix, and it does not have a commercial-free bundle. So what we're gonna do is, like we've been doing the last couple of times, is I will let you know when there's a commercial break, and I'll let you know that there's a commercial break. For those of you who want to keep in sync with us, you'll just pause in, and then we'll bring you back into the show with a timestamp. And throughout the show, we'll be doing timestamps because the majority of people who watch these streams are not watching them live because they're watching them from different time zones. Some of you are watching them throughout the other side of the planet. And speaking of which, right now, for those of you who are members of the Patreon, I'm putting your link if you want to guest host right now. Let's see, episodes 5 and 6. Today we are doing episodes 5 and 6 for those of you who didn't see the thumbnail there. And Patrons, you now should be having your link if you would like to join in. And then I'm going to send a couple of links off to some people who don't have access to Patreon, but I still want here. And there's one. And there is. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Got a lot of screens up. And then there is the other. So Brad will be on in a second. I'm going to try to buy some time because I really want him to be here when we hit the play button. So let's go ahead and say hi. There's the duck. Hello, Ozzy. How are you doing? What are my thoughts on Toxic Avenger? I'm happy about it. We were in talks with Legendary. Legendary is the company that actually made the movie. It's a Legendary movie. So I was actually, believe it or not, I was actually on going back and forth with the person in charge of the distribution for this particular film, and we could not get permission to screen it here in Vegas because that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to screen it here in Vegas because we brought Lloyd Kaufman out here many times. I mean, um, you guys have seen him on our show. We've interviewed him on our show. We just hosted the second show mania here. He comes out to Vegas all the time, so been texting him back and forth to see if we can get this done. So I finally this Sinverse is doing it, and so I got a hold of Legendary again. That person from Legendary is putting me in touch tomorrow with the person from Sinverse, and we're gonna try to set it up. It's gonna be a wide release. I don't know how many theaters here in Vegas are gonna be here, but what I want to do is either I want to host my own screening here at the center, or we're gonna do what we did with Nosferatu and we'll host our own screening that they already have there at Galaxy. But one way or another, once we get a date that it is going to be released, I am going to bring Lloyd Kaufman, the creator of Toxic Avenger, out there, and he'll be standing side by side with me as we finally celebrate it. Now, so I'm happy. I'm happy that it's finally getting done. It's done, Aaron. Yeah, it's already done. It's just basically waiting to get distribution. That's the big key of it. So, all right. All right, so let's see. Just making sure that we cover all of our bases and give people time to get this going. Hold on, let me make sure. He's texting me. Bam, there we go. That is what I was looking for. And just confirm. All right, so tonight's first episode that we're going to do is episode 5. It's called World on Fire. So for those of you who are going to be, yeah, Peter Dinklage is in this movie. Elijah Wood is in this movie. So Peter Dinklage, for those of you who are not familiar with that name, think Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones. That's Peter Dinklage. Okay. All right, for those of you who are watching on the Twitter, please come over to us and let me go ahead and put this up there because it's probably going to be on myself and Brad. So there you go. YouTube.com/the Sci-Fi Center. Love the fact that you found us any way that you found us, but on a normal basis, let's come on over to YouTube. Like I said, we get zero benefit as far as building the channel goes from other than you guys watching. But if we don't convert you guys over to our subscribers and our to watch all of our content, it's kind of hit or miss when you ever see us again. And we don't. Not only that, we want you to watch the live stuff when you can, but we want you to watch the associated content without having to rely on Twitter. I don't know how long I'm going to be on Twitter, so like I said, as soon as Blue Sky gives a live streaming option, I'm out of there. Because we have to. I didn't want to do the Blue X when it came to Twitter, but you can't live stream from Twitter without it. So that's another thing I don't like. Every little thing they want to charge you, and for things that used to be free when it came to Twitter, and the cost of running Twitter has not gone up. It's still basically the same. All right, so it is now 7:18. So we are going to. I'm going to go ahead and get this going. I was going to wait for Brad. He said he was going to be about 10 minutes late. It's 20, so we're going to go ahead and go. So for those of you who are watching right now, I am at all zeros, and I'm hitting play on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1, play.
Hello, everybody. And we already started? Oh, you're mute, man.
Yeah, we are at 4:07.
407? Okay. Yeah, sorry, guys, a little bit behind getting on tonight. No Clint. By the way, that means they just showed the whole, they just showed, seeing the world through Matt's eyes, the radar sense, and he calls it a world on fire.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we talked about that a bit last time. It's like, he said, yeah, you'd like to see more of that in Born Again. Do you think we'll see more of that in Born Again? Like what, seeing the blind vision?
Yeah. You can't really tell his story effectively sometimes without it. They did a good job here with this series with using it very sparingly, but I think that's one of the things I think they should have added because it is part of his storytelling. And I want them to do a better job than that vision we said. They can. I mean, but I just think it's I just don't think you can tell the top tier story anymore without it, personally.
Why do you think they held back so much in on the original show from the radar sense?
I don't know. I don't know how much it cost. It could be cost, but I don't know.
Yeah, that could be it.
They put money into it, but I know it's not a cheap effect because even for the Matrix, the way they were doing it with the binary wasn't cheap all the time. So.
Yeah, probably. When it came to Marvel Netflix, probably the big in terms of like CGI, probably the biggest effect they had was was Iron Fist, fist lighting up, and they had to do that a pretty fair amount on his show and on the Defenders. So I don't know how much like the budget was like spread out over all these shows. So, and this was also season 1. And yeah, listen, I mean, William, say what you will about the movie. I mean, you get the radar sense, and there are plenty.
There's a lot of good things that were put in place in that movie. None of them made for a good movie. That's the problem. You had a lot of really good talent in that movie, and that movie should not have been as bad as it was. And you had the money; they spent money on it. If you look at on paper, Daredevil 2003, it should have been an awesome movie. As executed, it was not even a good movie. It's just, and it's disappointing. I think if it would have just been a low budget B level hack, I would have been like, okay, you did the best you could.
Well,
they had A level everything,
That's why I don't really like compare like the radar sense, side by side in the movie and the show, because he gets so much more of it in the movie. So it's a really good effect when we see it in this episode, as he calls it a world on fire. But I think probably to make a more fair comparison, it's like I would want to have like a greater quantity of the radar sense on the show. It's like,
and I would want it to be different. I would want it to emit like it does in the comics to that radar wave. I would like to see that so that you get the full 360, because that images and the images they use don't give you that. So but like I said, who knows? We're in a different world now with them. So
we got some. How's it going, Aaron? We got a few questions. William, apparently there's what are your thoughts on Toxic Avengers finally getting a release?
I answered it. Yeah, I did. I was buying some time, so I answered all.
And there's like a remake in the works. I think I read something about this yesterday.
Done. It's done.
Okay, good. Any big names? That's a William question.
Tyrion Lannister. Yeah, I answered that one too.
Okay. It's big name.
Yeah, I was trying to buy you some time to get back, so I was answering all the questions.
Yeah, sorry. I was just finishing up something I was working on before I came on. I mean, listen, writer's life. It's like I with the coaching I do in the dojo. I mean, that's very delineated. It's like 3 to 9, but it's like what people in my line of work do. It's like we're all over the place schedule wise. Like we'll rewrite something and then like we'll come back to it and then we'll finish it up, and it's like, so there's a lot of that in kind of like remote journalism writing work that I do, and that made it very advantageous when COVID happened, because it was just business as usual. So is that lady played by Rosario Dawson's? No, she is not. She's a very important figure throughout Marvel Netflix. Claire Temple. She's from the comics. She's on all of the like the first wave of Marvel Netflix, like from Daredevil season 1 through Defenders. She meets all the individual characters, and she crosses paths with them, in different ways, and then she kind of is the one to sort of bring them to, sort of introduce them to each other in Defenders. So she's the through line of through Daredevil season 1 through Defenders of Marvel Netflix. And I don't think we saw her again after that on Marvel Netflix. Hopefully we see her again in the Born Again revival. But Claire is not Matt. They have great chemistry, but she's not his love interest. He is two love interests in the show and in the comics mainly those are Karen Page and those are Elektra.
He bangs Black Widow quite a bit. So yeah.
Okay, that's true. Well, we haven't seen that. We haven't seen Charlie Cox's, Daredevil do that yet. He has a little bit of a fling with She-Hulk too.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah, he's an interesting character because he's Matt gets around. Let's say. Did you hear there's a new fire? I did not know that. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I was kind of hoping this blizzard that came through here for us, and it is a winter wonderland out there right now. I was hoping, because it's snowing in Pensacola. I mean, it's gotten as deep south as northern Florida. So I mean, I was kind of crossing my fingers that California might get some of that snow, during all this, because they could certainly need them. They need it more than we do. I'm going to pull up real quick an image. I'm going to see if I can find this of what Owlsley looks like in the comics, because he's the owl in the comics.
Yeah, he looks ridiculous.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I'll pull this up for everybody because this is what people talk about when they say that when you talk about like the difference between like you adapting something from comics to live action. It's not always a 1-to-1. And as you see, that's what Owlsley looks like in the comics. So I don't know if you can quite pull that off in live action. There's another one of him right here. Couple more for you guys. I let my head where it's at. That's a nice little reference to what happened at the end of the last episode. William, when I look at the face paint for Peter Pan Neverland's Nightmare, it kind of reminds me of Pennywise from it.
I think that's what they were kind of going for, that in the John Wayne Gacy type of situation.
By the way, I'll do a little bit of a personal plug for something I had go up today on Comic Book yeah, they are. Yes, they definitely are. And so that kind of relates to this. It's definitely Marvel related. Did a piece on the 3 best Punisher moments in movies and TV. So the ones I went with were Frank Castle versus Russian fight in the 2004 movie. The opening of
Punisher. You didn't want to wait till you get Punisher to put this one?
Yeah. Well, one of the reason why, and the third one I picked was this is a little bit of a tease for anyone who hasn't seen season
I have
2.
a commercial.
Is,
Pause
yep.
at 13:30, guys.
Yeah, so the rooftop sequence between the rooftop debate between Daredevil and Punisher in season 2, that so far for me, that's John Bernthal's best moment. Was Punisher, and we'll be seeing that in what, like about 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So, and also
It's
that's the episode at the end of that. At the end of that episode, that's also the one that has the season 2 version of the one-shot all-way Daredevil fight scene. So, just sharing more work with you guys as I plug my stuff all the time.
Yeah, a little bit ahead of the game, though. That would have been cool to be,
we're gonna get there pretty soon, aren't we? I mean, it's like we're already like close to halfway through.
Yeah,
by the
but
end
that's,
we'll be like almost at the halfway mark of season 1.
It would have been a seamless segue to, hey, look what I got.
I'll bring it back when we get there. Don't worry.
All right, I'm still at a commercial, so I don't like not being able to. I paid the more. It seems like the more I pay, the less I can do as far as.
Yeah, I didn't do. I don't have that. Maybe it's because I don't have Disney Plus and Hulu as a bundle.
Yeah, I have the 3 bundle because it was cheaper, but I was willing to pay more. But there's no other tier. The most expensive tier is going to be. So in order to get them all without commercials, I'd have to pay $30 for the total of the 3. Right now, I have all 3 for $16. It's a better deal, but I mean, I don't know if I don't know how many. Yeah, we're gonna do a considerable amount of watch-alongs, but I don't know how much the commercials is inconveniencing the people watching along. Now, if I start getting feedback that it's really tearing the show up, having to fuck up with these commercials, then I might consider going up a tier. But right now, I haven't heard any discourse saying tearing the show. All right, we are back. We are back into the show. And I am going to bring us back in at 13:22. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, resume.
Hey, Brad, did you make any snow angels?
We start again? Wait, we start again, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's really funny. I took my nephew out with that today because the family's gotten together for the snow day, and we actually tried to, but it's such a mix of ice and snow. He actually, the snow is like it's like hard on the ground, so he literally couldn't. He tried to make a snow angel earlier, but it was too like mixed with ice and sleet, I guess, so he wasn't able. It didn't form the angel in the ground when you try to do it. So that was kind of funny, but hopefully it's it'll melt just enough overnight that he'll be able to do that tomorrow. Although it is really cold here right now. Let me look at this. Let me look at the weather for us right now, because it was in the 20s today. I mean, trust me, Savannah, Georgia, it makes headlines when it gets this cold and when we get snow. Yeah, right now it's like 25 outside. I think we got like a low of like 18 tonight.
So I take it no regular show tonight.
You mute, man.
What?
William, you're mute.
I hadn't said anything.
Because he asked us is this in lieu
I
of
heard
are the more Daredevil kicking ass here? Can't say no to that.
I haven't decided that yet, Clint. I'll probably know by the time I'm done with this.
Yeah, not a lot of news to discuss, so it's it's cool with me if we just want to make this the de facto show of the evening.
Plus, I want to actually go do some shopping and stuff before everything closes at 11.
Oh, there is. That's called a B twist. What you just did there. Look at him just parkour up that side of the wall there.
I'll be right back, guys. If I hit a commercial, I'm going to use you guys as my timestamp to get back.
I'm not watching this episode because I already watched it. But when the next episode comes on, I'll.
Oh, you went ahead of us and just watched the episode.
I just watched one. That's all the time. My internet has been really, really wonky.
Well, this you watched World on Fire, right? That's the episode you watched. Season 1, episode 5. That's what we're watching right now. But that was the one you watched.
Yeah, I think they have dinner and she had a gun in her purse and like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you saw like what his vision looks like, right? That's the episode you saw, like right at the beginning.
Oh, okay. I didn't pay attention to that, I guess, but yeah, it's probably green.
No, how could you not pay attention to that part?
It's just a show, and I have ADHD, so I get distracted easily.
You know, I'm watching a show. It's like I like to, and to keep my eyes on it. So
Yeah, but for me, it's like squirrel.
is there? Yeah, she's Ahsoka Tano on the Disney. She was on The Mandalorian, and she had her own show. And I think wasn't she also in? Damn it, she was in one other Disney Star Wars show. Let me look that up real quick.
If my memory serves right, is this the one with the corrupt cops?
This episode?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they all kind of have, to varying degrees. The cops kind of come and go on this episode.
No, when someone comes in and says the name, and then they discuss who's going to get beat up, and
yeah, that happens. Yeah, it's like as long as you watch the one that said the title is World on Fire, that's the one we're watching right now. Okay, yeah, Aaron. So she was Ahsoka Tano on The Mandalorian, season 2, and the Book of Boba Fett, and then she had her own show. I think there is season 2 of that. Yep, season 2 is coming up. So she is ongoing as Ahsoka Tano. She's also recently the voice of Kokoro in the English dub of Terminator Zero. What else? Was Rosario Dawson done? She was on Young Rock. It's pretty cool. It's on AEW Dynamite. She's in Space. Oh, she voiced Wonder Woman in Space Jam: New Legacy. She's recently in Zombieland Double Tap. Yeah, she's voiced Wonder Woman actually, and she's voiced Wonder Woman in quite a few DC animated movies. She also voiced Artemis in the Wonder Woman animated movie. And she is in one of, in my opinion, one of The Rock's best movies, which is The Rundown. Yeah, she's done quite a lot.
Oh, I know why I feel like crap. I haven't herbally enhanced.
Oh, okay. Well, that probably explains it. Some elements of this remind me of Law and Order. Others, yeah. Well, I mean, it's it's illegal. Matt, as we all know, is a really good lawyer. So is Foggy. So this is definitely it's like half legal drama, half ninja movie. I can see the Arrow comparison, but it's got way better fight scenes.
In the really real world, ninjas, you wouldn't be able to pick them out because they would just look like everybody else.
Yeah, that's what they do.
No, they'd be wearing like a peasant garb, peasant hat. They would just like get every other peasant around. Not the guy in the mask with that comes at night dressed all in black with weaponry.
Yeah, but which one sounds cooler?
Oh, there's the fantastical version of the ninja, but for me, real life is way more interesting than the fantasy.
Yeah, but ninjas are cooler on that version, so I like the Daredevil approach better than ninjas.
And that's fine for spinning a yarn.
Really, Aaron, I can't believe you hadn't seen it, though before we started these the Daredevil marathon we're doing. And since we're on the same wavelength, I'll just tell you again. It's like with Iron Fist, okay, another martial arts show of all this. Okay, Aaron, just skip season 1. Just skip season 1. Just go straight to Defenders. And with Iron Fist on Marvel Netflix, skip season 1, go straight to Defenders. He's one episode he appears in Luke Cage season 2, and Iron Fist season 2, which is phenomenal. Stick with those, okay? Trust me on this. Forget season 2. I tried to make myself like season 1 so much because I love Iron Fist. I've read the comics. I love that character so much as I love Daredevil. And I really tried to convince myself I liked season 1.
We're talking about Iron Fist.
Well, yeah, because I was telling
Sure,
you,
it's trash.
I'm surprised. Season 1 was the only one that was trash. Everything else is great with him.
If you can't start out good, then your show is trash.
The hell you can't. That happens all the time. We're at 25-35.
I'm still dealing with a commercial.
And Aaron, she also said some elements remind me of Law and Order, other elements remind me of the Arrow. And again, like Law and Order, that makes a lot of sense because again, it's like with the legal side of it. So it's like it plays like half like legal drama, half like ninja movie. That's kind of what you would really, if you're adapting Daredevil like really faithfully, that's kind of what you would get. So they definitely do that. Yeah, but it's also like it's that on the legal side, and on the superhero side, it's very much a ninja movie. And I can see like the Arrow Chris, but again, it has way better fight scenes than Arrow. Yeah, pretty much, Aaron. Yeah, pretty much, Aaron. It's like Matt Murdock is a ninja, and I kind of like it. Like Matt Murdock is a ninja, and Iron Fist is like a Shaolin monk.
What? Stop bringing up Iron Fist on here.
No, it's like I'm guiding Aaron here because she hasn't seen Marvel Netflix. So,
Guide her to Disney Plus.
yeah, I got her Disney Plus, and I told her it's like, okay, with Iron Fist, just again, I tried. Trust me, I lied to myself about season 1. Okay, because I love that character. I got Iron Fist comics right over here behind me. Okay, I mean, I was like the Immortal Iron Fist, David Ajarung and Immortal Iron Fist. That's what brought me into the character.
People watching the show, I am not going to mislead you or lie to you and say that you ever need to watch Defenders to enjoy Daredevil. If you want to, you can. But under no circumstances do you need any show outside of Daredevil to understand and comprehend and enjoy Daredevil. If you choose to spend time on those shows, you can't get that time back. That's on you.
Now, also, I will also add to that Daredevil season 3 picks up right from the ending of Defenders, which makes it.
Now, you know what? They created this thing. They created this thing that we're on right now called YouTube, and there are hundreds of videos that can fill you in without you wasting that kind of time if you don't want to. If you want to, that's different. But you don't. I don't want to give off the vibe that you need those shows to enjoy this one because you absolutely do not. That's really my opinion.
You really do.
No. And I'm being serious.
And you definitely need it. And you definitely need it for the full Iron Fist package too. Because again, skip season 1.
We're watching
Defenders, Luke Cage season 2 cameo.
You're not watching Luke Cage, right
Aaron.
You're not watching.
Yeah,
Luke, like I said, I'll put the link. Those shows are there on Netflix for those of you who want to watch them. Right now, we're watching Daredevil.
When one of them cameos in Born Again,
it's not gonna matter. I'm still not gonna go back and watch those shows again because they suck.
One was gonna cameo. I promise you, they will.
Who cares?
and plus, you know who does care? Kevin Feige. Because look, go on Disney Plus right now. Go on the section that says Sacred Timeline. Every one of those shows is in there. They have officially canceled.
Have you tried the fried ribs at Kim's?
Yes.
Are they amazing or are they?
Or are they just good?
They are. Yes, they are. That's when
they
don't sell out of them.
Hopefully Friday, I'm going to come like at 2 p.m.
Actually, I'll be right back, guys.
You going to be around or are you going to be off doing things?
I'll be off doing things on Friday and Saturday. I will not be available. I probably won't be at the center this weekend for the most part. I'll have someone here in my stead.
I was about to say, did hell freeze over?
Nah, I just got some other stuff going on. That has to do with the center, but I won't. It takes me away from the business, especially in the evening, especially that when you'll be here.
Yeah, I've never ever heard of fried ribs before.
Neither had I.
Aaron might have fried kangaroo ribs. Just refresh my memory. This is the one where he has dinner with the lady again.
Yeah.
And it seems she's on to his bullshit.
Yeah, you'll find out a lot about her going forward. Okay, I am at a commercial at 32:35, so I'll let you guys know when it's over. And so go ahead and pause, everybody who's watching. Mute that. I'm at a commercial break. So
Yeah, I heard you say that one's coming back on. Yeah, Aaron says you took the superhero element out of this. This could well be a Dick Wolf production. Yeah.
You could, but the superhero element is what makes it more intriguing than a show. So that would be like a kind of win or lose, All right. So
I will say that's like the legal side of it. I mean, it's present throughout the show, but it's at its most prominent in season 1. It's like it doesn't like get sidetracked in season 2 and season 3, but it's like but I think it's like I think they decide like once we've kind of like set the table for like who Matt Murdock is, who Daredevil is, then with season 2 they felt more comfortable like kind of place, kind of compartmentalize the legal side of it a little bit more and like place. Okay, it's like now this is
so season 1 they focus mostly on Bruce Wayne.
Well, yeah, but it said it's Matt Murdock. So
well, yeah, it's the same thing. Daredevil, Murdock, Batman, Bruce Wayne.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, that's not a bad way of putting it.
All right, so we are back. Hold on. So we are resuming at 32:37. So 3, 2, 1, and resume.
I'm sure his barbecue sounds like a hybrid of Texas and Hawaii. That sounds delicious. I think I need to go to Australia and try that. Look at this decapitated body that he's tending the wounds of. Yeah, this is why it was that last episode. What happened to that dude with the car door? That is where you saw that made headlines, and that had like the commentary around that was so many people were saying it's like, yeah, there's no way we're gonna. They might say this is like set within the world of the Avengers, but it's like we're not going to like actively see Daredevil and Spider-Man meet. That was like a lot of the dialogue around it at the time, and I mean it was 6 years until we did see him meet.
I've been racking my small brain, about the difference between DC and Marvel. And it finally occurred to me, Marvel occurs in the real world and DC made up their own world as a fantasy land.
I mean, that's one way of putting it. I've always kind of like phrased it more as when it would come. I've taken it more like the approach to like the characters. Like Marvel is kind of the characters are kind of tend to be more. The idea with the characters is they're more human. The idea is that they're meant to represent like humans who happen to have superpowers. And with DC, they're kind of they're kind of portrayed more as gods. They're portrayed more as as the Olympian gods. And again, that's not like an across the board thing, because again, you have like Batman with in DC, and you have Thor and Marvel, so it's not like neither one will.
I would compare so far. I would compare Daredevil to Batman.
Yeah, well, that's why, because I posed this question to William about a week ago, and it's one I've kind of thought of at times where it's. I mean, it's not like a thing I'm asking them to do or anything, but it's like if you could. I was kind of wondering if you could take like one character from DC, one character from Marvel, and like swap like trade places for them, basically like swap which world they live in. So take like a DC character, put him in Marvel, take a Marvel character, put him in DC. Which one which pair would like make the smoothest transition? And I kind of thought I could see like switching Batman and Daredevil. It's like I could see that them fitting in the other one's world. I mean, it'd still be like modified versions of them, but I could see that kind of working. Yeah, DC are the new gods of Mount Olympus. Yes. Well, I mean, go back and like watch the, in Zack Snyder's Justice League. When they defeat Steppenwolf and the shot of them, on the cooling tower with the sun rising behind them. I mean, it's pretty much the idea is like, yeah, it's pretty. These are the gods of Olympus in a modern superhero context. Has Matt Murdock use a mobile phone? I know William is like you got. I'll wait for William to come back on that. It's like because that's one area where his radar sense does canonically have certain limitations. Because like when it comes like TV screens or computer screens or phone screens, like usually that he's not able to see what's on them, so it's like just kind of like a blank haze for him. Yeah, Aaron's asking like, how does Matt Murdock use a mobile phone? He can feel the keys. I mean, just fine. And the thing with his sense of touch is such that if he can,
certain phones make certain sounds.
One also, he can also read print without braille, because he can just run his fingers like across a newspaper and just feel like the ink just elevated above the paper. Because his sense of touch is that strong.
Phone's going to be different though. Phone's going to be different. Phones because there's
also a phone. If you notice, like some of the phone numbers have bumps on them.
Yeah.
And also. With money, they always ask, what denomination are you giving me back, and which first, and everything like that.
Plus a phone, like I said, certain cell phones, modern cell phones, each key makes a different sound. If you can have it set that way for blind people.
And they fold the denominations differently. Like a $1 bill be folded in half, a $5 bill twice, a $10 3 times. And I'm not saying that's what it is, but just something like that.
I could have done without this romance building with him and her. I really don't care about Vanessa and Wilson, to be honest with you.
Well, no, but like you said, like the other episode,
it seems like it's giving him a weak spot.
Well, she is his weak spot. Well, she's his weak spot, but not like in the way it would be for a lot of people. It's like he's his weak spot in the sense that, you know, he will go to any lengths to defend her to the point of like, even if it ultimately, even if what him doing so is something that's going to come back and bite, like when he did with the guy with the car door in the last episode. It's like he loses all control when he sees any threat to her.
But I thought he was Mr. I'm in control at all times, but
That's what he likes
whatever.
to think of himself as.
Well, again, that's one area where like his portrayal on the show is somewhat of a reimagining from because in the comics, yeah, he's very poised, he's very, very calculated, and he's still very calculating on the show. But it's again, I've always theorized, like from seeing D'Onofrio's performance, that this version of Kingpin is bipolar. Because he has frightening mood swings. You don't want to get on his bad side in general, but like as William said in the previous episode, what he did to the guy with the car door in the last one, it's like he would have sent somebody else to do that. Like this, he will, in this one he'll get his hands dirty, even when it's like, but he'll do it in a way that's just a blind rage. Just a second, guys.
Cell phone, mobile phone, who cares? It's the same thing.
Yeah, William, did you catch that one way I was explaining to Clint? You're talking about the Kingpin's personality on the show, kind of comparing to the comics. Because I've always gone by the theory that I think D'Onofrio's interpretation, he's playing the Kingpin as if he's bipolar.
I don't think he's bipolar. I think just some things send him into an uncontrollable rage. Bipolar is a totally different thing. Bipolar people are up and high, and they have no control. High and then down, and they have no control over it. He has control over it. It just pissed him off when that guy did what he did.
Well, I mean, keep watching the show. It's like you see him other instances where he really snaps. Now, William, you got any opinion on that?
He's compartmentalized on both here and in the comics. There are certain things that just don't touch him, and then there are certain things that do. The less control he has, when that control starts to go away, that's when you start seeing him become unpredictable and not making mistakes like he did with Daredevil, and that's how Daredevil gets to him.
Aaron asks, why do you think Marvel decided to make Kingpin white again for the universe rather than keep it black like they did? Well, he's black or he's white in the comics, and then they cast Michael Clark Duncan in the movie because he just embodied the Kingpin so well. And then
which was not. I didn't agree with that casting, by the way.
You think so?
No, because okay, I'm at a commercial, so I'm at a commercial at 43:58. So I'll let you guys know. Go ahead and pause, and then I'll let you guys go and come back again. No, because the
No.
type of kingpin that they portrayed him in that movie wasn't what black folks were going through in New York City. It would have never happened that way. It's just what the kingpin is, and what you're talking about. You would have never had a guy like that during that era in Upper Midtown Manhattan, because, to be honest with you, in the criminal world, there's a lot of racism and a lot of segregation even amongst the criminal world, and the kingpin would have not have been in that position because of all that. So you would have to create a different character that came up through those ways, because that's just not the way it was happening when they created the kingpin. Even when you tried to put him in a movie that way, it's like, okay, so after 50, 60 years of that, see, there are certain characters where the race is not going to matter because it's not part of your upbringing, part of your culture. But you're talking about the kingpin who came from a poor criminal upbringing and a poor criminal, he started young. Those guys culturally in New York are going to come from different backgrounds and going to turn out in different ways.
One they even tried, and that was actually one area where I thought the movie could have
it's back. Hold on. We are back at 44 minutes even. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, resume.
So right after she hands him the gun.
That
was one area where I did feel the movie could have fleshed him out, because right when before the final confrontation with Daredevil and Kingpin in the movie, he starts taking his business suit off, and he tells his assistant to go home. He says, "I was raised in the Bronx. You wouldn't understand this," and so that's obviously meant to. That's about as far as they were able to go, as far as his his rough upbringing, but.
Yeah, and it's unlikely that just given demographics, that you're gonna have a black guy raising to that criminal level in the Bronx, who would probably end up being the way it was set up in Harlem. You probably end up with a Denzel Washington character like Bumpy, like he played in American Gangster. You would probably end up with a character like that, given the way things were breaking down then. So I didn't I love Michael Duncan Clark, rest in peace. I thought he was miscasting that role.
Well, I think that's probably, I don't think they were even thinking that deep with this casting. I just thought they were I think they were looking purely and just purely on the surface levels. He's big, he's strong, he's bald, he's the kingpin,
that's why that casting director, that casting person had everything handed to them on a plate, on a platter, with the type of people that were available to them, and they found the way to cast the wrong people and do the wrong things in that movie. It's one of the many layers that I really just don't like that movie. It was just at every instance they made the wrong decisions, and it shows in the quality of movie you got.
Yeah, and that's why, because D'Onofrio, he'd been known, he'd been around, but I think this actually kind of kickstarted a bit of a career resurgence for him, because, he wasn't, I'd seen him in Men in Black, and what else has he done? Adventures of Babysitting. He was quote unquote Thor there, but he wasn't necessarily I don't think a lot of people are fan casting him for the Kingpin. I think the Kingpin, to be honest, is probably one of the more difficult villain roles to cast, I would imagine. And I think they really, no pun intended, hit the bullseye with getting him, because he's, in my estimation, when it comes to all MCU villains, since we're now canonizing this in the MCU, he is he's probably my number one as far as Marvel movie and TV villains of the last 17 years since the MCU started. Yeah, to answer your question there, Aaron. It was. I think it was just a matter of D'Onofrio's a pretty big dude, so although he did gain weight for this role, and then he went back, going to doing a fat suit for Born Again, but I think with his casting, and William, it sounds like you'd agree with me on this, that there was probably more consideration beyond just portraying the Kingpin as just the big strong force of nature that he is. There was they wanted to, with the show, really dig a lot deeper with his backstory, with his personality.
They could have done both, and I think the Penguin shows you that you could do both.
Oh yeah.
They did, but it's they like I said, they made their decisions. When I'm not, like I said, I have less problems with this portrayal of Daredevil than I do the 03 version of Daredevil. It's just every angle I look at that movie, I'm like, what a waste. This is here I think there are things that they could have done better, but they did them well to begin with. You know what I mean? So
Aaron also asks, is there even a black mob? I know that there are gangs.
yeah, you got, like I said, Harlem. To certain areas that where ethnicities are grouped together, those are where those types of gangs are.
Every ethnicity has a gang, mafia.
You know, we just associate them most with with Italians and Sicilians.
Oh, there's Jewish mob, there's black
Irish
mob, there's Irish mob, there's
Irish mob,
Chinese. I mean,
yeah, the triads, the Yakuza in Japan.
But when you go to New York, for those of you who are that are watching this show or watching our show from New York, you understand when I say that the way the Kingpin came up is going to be different from each borough, each region of New York. So, casting Michael Duncan Clark as the Kingpin, as we know him, would not have been consistent, in my opinion.
Well, and they could. I mean, that's they could definitely do a black Kingpin. I mean, there's you could do a black Kingpin like that accounts for all that. What you're saying there?
Hell, yeah. I even heard of an Amish mob.
Yeah, on The Sopranos, they had
no, they actually sold drugs all over the United States, and the reason why they didn't get caught is because they used snail mail instead of electronic communication.
Well, nobody's going to suspect the Amish of being drug runners, so they probably are able to fly under the radar pretty good there too.
Well, there's all kinds of different types of Amish.
I just realized Aaron's look at the comments. She is there's a row of 20 Aaron comments. Aaron's the only one commenting right now of our 29 viewers at the moment. Now, granted, Aaron, inevitably brings the most to any conversation because she's we're simpatico. So, but nonetheless, I just kind of noticed that.
I had to be up at 6:30 this morning. I am not happy.
Oh, was that for that medical procedure you were talking about?
Nah, that happens on the 30th.
Okay. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. 130,000 a treatment.
Jesus Christ. Healthcare in this country.
The drug's made out of unicorn teeth.
Sorry. Oh no, Aaron, you were not. You were many things, many things, and ignorant is not one of them.
Oh no, not knowing is not a problem.
You are great things, Aaron. Ignorant, definitely not.
Everybody's ignorant. But ignorance is curable. It's the stupidity that's not curable.
So Aaron, you mentioned that you've never. Again, William, that's the really surprising thing to me. Like what you said, people coming into the store saying, because at the time it seemed, it seemed like this was it's really had some eyeballs on it. And it probably did, but I guess it was as many people, not having their eyeballs on it.
Yeah, it's just, Netflix is hugely successful, but when you're talking about the audience that you're targeting, the MCU was in its own pocket. It wasn't, when you weren't leaving that pocket.
Well, and this tone obviously is very much, the tone is something you would associate more so with NBC than, or ABC than Disney, as far as an ongoing series. And again, the superhero element of it is portrayed, tonally very, very differently than, the MCU cinematically. Again, that's what I loved about it, is that it gave this, it was kind of counter programming within their own franchise of, that's you're not so much into the, the jokes and one-liners and, family friendly quality of what we're doing.
But see, that's never been the MCU though. That's never been the MCU. I don't know if that's a misperception of the MCU, but that's never been the MCU. And when you're talking about counter programming, you're automatically saying that this is something that they're not used to and necessarily comfortable with. That's probably why a lot of them didn't watch the show at the start. And you got to realize when this show was released, if it wasn't in the MCU, they weren't watching it no matter what it was. That's why so many things outside of it.
I'd really be
do well
curious.
on that show.
Well, I'd really be
You know?
curious too, like what like the metrics are, and where all the shows added to Disney. Like, did they migrate from Netflix to Disney Plus like pre No Way Home? Because I'd really be curious to see like how much of like a uptick like the Matt appearance in No Way Home like is done for the show like traffic wise in Disney Plus.
I don't think anything at all.
I disagree. I feel like I probably like that had to have.
Well, no, you can prove it. The numbers are there. You can prove it. It didn't make. It gave them awareness of the character, but it's not like they went back to watch that show because of that. The people who watched Daredevil when it came out, the many that did, they watched it, and and they were a separate crowd. But like I said, plenty of people watch this show, but I don't interact with as many people. And like I said, it's weird for me, given the conversations I have and who I have them with. Most of the people that are what I'm getting the feedback that are watching these watch-alongs, this is their first time, and they're MCU heads. So, but it wasn't the same thing at the time.
Oh man, he's going to town on this guy. This one's for Claire.
All right, that's that for that episode. I'm gonna roll right into number 6. I'm gonna let it give me the 9 seconds. It's just gonna go next. So I'll let it do that. Then I'll let you know.
By the way, have you been to New York? Because I mean,
give me a second, Lil.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna pause it. Then I'm pausing it. Yes, I have. My parents are from New Jersey, so we had to go through. Oh, hold on.
Because I have.
Never mind. It's giving me a commercial anyway. Fuck it. Go ahead.
Oh, I got I have to click on it too. So yeah, because I've never been to. The closest I've been is like we took a connecting flight from Newark Airport in New Jersey, so I saw it outside of the airplane window. But I'm kind of curious, like if been to Hell's Kitchen specifically, like how large of an area is that within Manhattan?
It's a pretty sizable area. It's a pretty decent area. It's kind of its own district. I've never been there, but I know people who have been there. I know people from Jersey who moved to that area. It's a working class to poorish, like it's depicted there. All right, I am gonna wait for Clint to come back, and then we'll start. Oops, come on, fucking Netflix.
Cool, man. Shoot over to me and DM it to me, man. Give it a look.
Yeah, like I said, I remember Netflix didn't really promote this show ever at all. Netflix doesn't promote anything, especially back in 2015, 2016, 2017, all that general area. Remember, we're not thinking now. Unless you were watching the show now, they didn't really put it. The MCU wasn't promoting it at all.
They weren't.
Okay, I'm at the Marvel intro.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and do our countdown.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. Yeah, they weren't promoting this. I mean, Marvel, once they gave the license, the limited license to Netflix, it was all Netflix from that point.
I've been to New York too, and it's just like any other city, just with really big buildings.
Yeah, I've got Hell's Kitchen up here on Wikipedia, and yeah, actually, it's like there's one corner of it that's only like about a block away from Central Park.
Yeah, that's what it's so conveniently placed for Daredevil, because you're in New York, but you're in this part.
Yeah, it looks like it takes up probably like it's probably like a good maybe like 1/8 or so of the island.
I actually think this is going to go down. This is hilarious.
Yeah. Right as he's trying to pull his mask off.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is further emphasizing the ninja-ness is that he's kicking all these guys' butts while he's handcuffed. And stay down.
Yeah, if you got a beating like that, you're not just coming around going, "Oh, where'd he go?" You're going, "Where am I?"
All right, we are at the intro.
Yeah, again, that's the.
Do you skip the intro or go through it?
I go through it.
Well, because it's such a great intro. And like I said, it's like Defenders. That's the only one in my mind that had like as far as like an intro theme. It's the only one other than Daredevil that had like a really strong intro theme, and that to me was like a really missed opportunity.
Yeah. So for those of you I know you're watching, no, William is not against race swapping. if it will dynamically alter the character, then I'm against it. Like I said before, I don't want a Black Clark Kent because you're changing the dynamic of the character in ways that you would or not even believable, even in a comic book sense.
And you see a Celtic cross. Yeah, I think that there's a Celtic cross there, isn't there? Probably like one of the cathedrals there.
And by the way, Ben York's character arc was one of the knocks I had against, without saying anything, that I had against this show.
Oh yeah, wait till we get there.
Did not like him and Karen Page were one of the things that I wish they would have stuck with when it came comic.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Ben, let's just say you're not likely to see Ben Urich again. No, then again, I mean, it's when you add, what a comic book universe can do, there's all kinds of possibilities. I probably already gave it away, haven't I?
I just kept telling a lot of the people who are watching this with us have not seen this show. As a matter of fact, if you look at the interactions in the chat, I haven't ran into anybody who has watched the show. Is there anybody in the chat that's been watching the show?
Yes, I believe canonically he is Irish, isn't he?
Yes, that means Irish Catholic. Yep.
Yeah.
And the demographic correct because that area of Hell's Kitchen where he comes from.
Yeah,
that's where the demographic is. They really did that well.
It's mainly Irish and an Irish.
Yeah.
Well, it's also got a pretty big Hispanic population too. And Aaron, it's because I'm reading her Wikipedia page here. It's also got a pretty large LGBTQ population as well.
I thought you were going to say Australia. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's Australians when they go to New York, their first destination is Hell's Kitchen.
There's a lot of Australians in the Philippines, that's for sure.
Yeah. Is it Hell's Outback?
How's it going, Jimmy? I remember this scene right here with Fisk in the back of the car. I remember this was in a lot of the trailers. I think also what you're talking about, William, with as far as the marketing when season 1, because season 1 dropped about a month before Age of Ultron did, and you talk about how the Marvel to the general audience was the MCU at that point. So, and of course that was that's the big blockbuster starting off the summer. Age of Ultron, so there. Now you can't make a direct comparison between TV shows and movies, marketing wise, but
especially then.
But there's maybe also an argument to be made as Age of Ultron, anticipation. Since we're discovering, I guess there's so many newcomers to Daredevil, maybe that also kind of maybe drowned out Daredevil to an extent.
Well, what it was is back in that era, there was no such thing as a Marvel TV show to even care about. Everything from Marvel was cinematic.
What are you talking about? They had Agent Carter.
Okay, I'm going to repeat. Back in that era, everything relevant to Marvel was cinematic. If it wasn't happening cinematic, that's how they geared you. It wasn't until later on where these shows started to, and it wasn't until they had a platform, remember, that were their shows and were directly connected. So it was just a different time. I think people who watch it will enjoy it that never seen it, but it's just, like I said, I'm as shocked as you were, and I'm just trying to figure out the reasons. And now that I look at the reasons, I'm like, okay, it's definitely
Well, because I mean, 'cause obviously there were people who did see it, and just like
oh yeah, there
you
was
and
a
I.
lot of people who saw it.
So, but it's like what? So that's the big question. I mean, it's like what pull those of us who saw it when it debuted. Like, what was the X factor that led us to see it and everybody else to sit it out?
The same reason the way people will buy X-Men and Fantastic Four and Deadpool, but weren't buying Daredevil at the time, even though there were plenty of sales for both. If you really like Daredevil, if you were a Daredevil fan, you found this show.
Which I was, which I am.
You found this show. Everybody else is like,
well, I mean,
like I said,
remember,
it didn't have no viewers. I'm not. Don't get me wrong, guys. It's just that, like everything else that goes along with Marvel, I can have a general conversation with just about anybody who's either seen it or they really, really do know about it to the point where they don't need to see it. With Daredevil, it's almost like everybody I run into is a first timer. Anywhere I go, and like I said, I go in those circles where the geeks,
and that's just so crazy to me because I mean, like when these shows were announced, because they announced them all at once. They announced like all 5 of them.
Well, Daredevil is not that popular a comic book character.
Okay, he is popular
to the non-comic book nerds.
Well, like I said, the biggest thing is the fact that it wasn't part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well, it's kind of
like had it been part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he would have been as popular as everything else that came out in that.
Well, it's kind of like what William says too, like as far as DC with the Flash, he's on the bench.
I'm not saying he shouldn't be, William. I'm just saying, I knew Fantastic Four, I knew Iron Man, I knew. Daredevil was kind of like there's a Daredevil.
But again, it's like comparing it to like William says with DC wise, the Flash, he's a, he's not the Trinity, so it's like he's a character people know of, but he's not the first off the bat, and it's kind of similar with Daredevil as far as like the pyramid of like public awareness of the characters. It's like, I mean, Marvel Comics, for the longest time, they the face they had, on the upper left hand corner of Spider-Man, yeah.
Oh, and also, Daredevil is not suited for as wide an audience as a lot of other things are, just by what he is. Especially this version of Daredevil, this is not suited for the audience at the time that MCU was at their height. It just wasn't. They weren't there yet with this. So it was just like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that A, it wasn't MCU, and B, it was at a time where Marvel television shows were pretty much non-existent. The ones that mattered, at least, they wouldn't come along for years.
Do you think that's an age thing too, where it's like a lot of like the people who were telling you they hadn't seen it, they would have been like maybe like middle school or high school when this dropped, and now we've had like 9 years pass, and
that and it's not a family watch. Everything else in Marvel, for the most part, even if it's not all one-liners and fun and jokes, but it's more, it's a family watch. There's not much that you can't watch in the MCU. In general, whether they're TV shows that are not a family watch for the most part. Daredevil is not a family watch. This show is fucked up, okay? And it's beautifully fucked up, but it's not a family watch. So you lose a good percentage of your audience that probably would never give it a chance. They don't hate it, but if they can't sit down with Bobby and Jane and the wife to watch it, then they're going to move on. There's plenty of other MCU content that was coming out at the time that they could. It's just... But even amongst all that,
there's the real fantasy in this show: getting right in an emergency room.
Well, if you come in bleeding like that,
well, I just had to take my dad to the ER 2 weeks ago after he had a rather bad fall. So it's like they got him triaged pretty quick. So because it was visible what had happened.
And like I said, I love Deborah Ann Wall, but man, that they really, really missed the boat with her in this series. And I understand why, because just like we just said, why you couldn't watch this with a family. If they did Karen Page, you can't watch this with some adults. So, like, hey, what is she doing to get her jug money? Oops, there goes that rating.
Aaron says, yeah, there's a lot of Aussies in New York City, even some Aussie restaurants there.
Paul
Curtis
Hogan.
Stone. Yeah.
Paul Hogan was there.
I mean, how come in the DC versus Marvel comics they put Batman against Wolverine over Daredevil?
Okay,
you mean like
all right, Aaron,
don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. X'd my baby sis. Don't X my baby sis.
Creepy.
Don't. And nobody X's my baby sis, man.
DC, I guess I'm nobody. We don't talk about Marvel versus DC on this show. You're giving me flashbacks to not a very good time in my career.
X'd my baby sis. That is so disrespectful.
More and more lately because she's starting to take on your traits, which means
excuse me, Aaron. It's like I will fight for your honor on here if Williams just let me know.
I'm pretty sure Aaron can fight for her own honor.
Oh, great! Then we can come on here and double team.
Yeah, I can actually both.
Aaron, get your gi on. We're gonna suit up for this.
Yeah, I'll wait for you about 4 hours from Las Vegas by airplane.
No, we'll plot this meticulously.
Yeah, I think it's going to take more than kung fu to take me, but okay, it's going to hurt, win or lose. You're going to be somebody's limping away from me that fight. Like, fuck, what my back?
All William has to do is sit on you.
I was just taking a dig at the comic book, William. Yeah, so see, she's even on your side, and
we can't. I have PTSD when it comes to Marvel versus DC. A lot of quarter comics, buddy, that those turned into. And Claire's character.
Well, she's kind of a composite of a couple different characters. I mean, there is a 3 or 4 different there's characters. A main Claire that she's based on, but there are also like a couple of different elements that she's mixed in with it. Her main thing is Claire Temple and Night Nurse. Is who she's based on.
And a cut to the head is not really bad unless it goes through the skull. And all they'll do in the emergency room goes, here's some padding, put it on your head, wait for us to call you.
Oh, they should give you an X-ray or something because you could have a bleed or a concussion.
No, they did. They give my dad. They did give him a CT scan. Yeah,
I was about to say. I was like, "Hey, here you go. Take some aspirin. Get out, sir."
Well, again,
I've been in more emergency rooms than I can count.
I know for our 9 line, like when we're about to medevac you in the Army, if you're bleeding, okay, I got a commercial, so we're going. I'll let you guys know when we're resuming. Go ahead and pause, and I'll let you know when we come back. When we do the, it goes from top to bottom, right? So you go from top, and so the eyes and everything else. So if they have any kind of cut on the head, then we're supposed to feel around for misshapen and all that. But most of the time, if they got a cut in certain areas of the head, there's a good chance that they have a concussion. If they've been hit really hard, we're most concerned about they may be bleeding out in their brain, and they don't have a lot of time too. That's like concussions and shit like that. I noticed we would have people, like when we were doing our training, you'd have to line them up in priority that the helicopter can take them after the 9 line, and the people with the concussions and everything else and the tourniquets and everything else would get on the one. It's kind of, they show you movies.
Talking battlefield medicine, William.
It's the same thing. Battlefield medicine is going to be the same thing. It's like it's all about prioritizing.
Yeah, but I mean, if they say if you cut your head or something like that on something and it's no blood trauma or anything like that, they're just going to give you a pad of gauze and say, push on it. We'll get to you when we get to you.
I've never been in that experience where that would have been the case because the head injury is the most important injury other than sucking chest wounds and bleeding. Like obviously, the first priority.
That's because you're talking combat medicine. Because usually, someone gets a cut in combat, a bullet's behind it.
No. You can have concussive blast.
Bullet or shrapnel.
Okay, we're back. Hold on. All right, so we are at 14:31, and we will resume in 3, 2, 1. Resume. And a lot of that is going to depend on if somebody witnessed how the cut happened on the person's head, because we can't ask that person. We have to assume if that person's unconscious, or that even if that person's conscious, they may not be in their senses.
Well, and like I don't know if you guys can see in this light, but like I have a scar running down my forehead. It goes the other way. I
From
got
the
that
kids.
when I got that when I was 4. Because long story short, I was pretending to be Superman and flying and looking over Metropolis, and I didn't look up at the tree head in front of me, so I had to go get some stitches for that one.
Watch out for that tree.
I was, yeah, pretty much. And
I was about to say, did gravity take effect?
well, I mean, no, I
Always
just
wins.
ran into the tree, and it's like crap skull, and they had take me to the ER, and they I mean it was, I mean it was a long time ago, but I mean I remember it being pretty quick. Once because they say this 4-year-old has a cracked skull.
Yeah, they're gonna get you in, and even though, like you're right, Clint, it is Army medicine, but Army medicine, that's the same priorities. Head injuries are really important because we can't.
I used to work in ERs, William.
Yeah, and how many head injuries did they not make priorities? They couldn't have been any.
Well, it depends on the type of head injury. If it's like, hey, a branch fell from a tree, then yeah, they're gonna do something. Hey, I scratched my head on a something and it left a cut that's bleeding profusely. Here, take some gauze.
Well,
We'll
what,
get to you when
what
we
we're
get
talking
to
about, like what that guy had, that was not a branch. That was
that was a fracture.
Yeah. That would be different. That's what I'm saying. So if I know how it happened, like you come in saying my cat scratched me or somebody hit me with a light twig, yeah, that I can see. But if it's like that, what he was working on, that's concussive force. You gotta you have to get him to the front of the line.
To get I mean probably I'm sure you've heard this question before. What is the worst injury you've seen in the ER?
Well, I brought someone back to life by pushing on their chest and cracking every bone in their rib cage.
Oh, so you cause an injury, bringing somebody back.
No, if you're doing it right, you will crack ribs.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Right, you will crack
I know
ribs.
CPR. I know, man.
Which sucks.
Okay,
but hey,
okay, Clint. Like, any what's the worst injury that didn't require resuscitation that you've ever seen?
That covers a lot.
Oh, compound fractures are really gross looking.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. La la la. Just the thought of compound fractures.
I'm not going into the details, William.
Aaron, please. You're talking to Americans here. It's like,
oh yeah, you
trust,
forget about that.
trust me, Aaron. Nobody will. You don't want what we got here, healthcare wise.
Well, our healthcare has kept me alive for 4 years now.
Well, yeah, but it could be doing better still. Aaron also says that comic book is really stupid now, not doing a relatable. He's talking about Marvel vs. DC.
Yeah, I really, like I said, it was one of those Hail Marys of a desperate 90s.
The worst thing about our healthcare is that you have to keep informed and you have to keep on the doctors and you have to do that. They don't do it themselves.
There's a lot of crooked cops in this show, by the way.
This guy looks like Frank Grillo in that lighting. pull up the Wikipedia page of Maria's trivia for you guys. I can find here about the show. We're seeing the season 1. The showrunner for Daredevil was Stephen S. Knight. A lot of you guys might know him. I think he's best known for Spartacus, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. And the new one coming up.
Yeah, he also was. He did some writing and directing on Buffy and Angel. He directed Pacific Rim Uprising. Did some directing on Dollhouse, Jupiter's Legacy, and much to Williams' chagrin, no doubt, Smallville. In fact, he actually did the first live-action Justice League in the episode Justice on Smallville. So, yeah.
Like I said, if your day was going well and you just heard some shit like that Brad just said, I'm sorry. Rebel Moon, you know what? If I'm Zack Snyder, I'm going to do a Halle Berry. I'm going to show up and get my Razzie. Fuck those people. I'm getting my shit.
I really would love it one day if he just really just took the gloves off on his critics and just said, "I'm just like, I've had enough of this shit."
Well, the Razzies are a joke. They're not to be taken seriously. I mean, Halle Berry showed up. People show up for him. It's fun.
Well, yeah, but I think most people would agree that Rebel Moon is far better than Catwoman.
Yeah. Reagan got a lot of love from the Razzies today, and I haven't even seen that. I mean, that's.
The Kingpin here looks like a Marvel version of DC's Tobias Whale. Okay, you got anything on that one?
What did he say?
Aaron said that the Kingpin looks like a Marvel version of DC's Tobias Whale,
or vice versa. I guess I don't know about that.
I kind of always looked at Kingpin honestly as like almost like Marvel's like equivalent to Lex Luthor.
Yeah, but in a way, in a prior to Frank Miller, exactly, except with a little bit more mob twinge. Post Frank Miller, that's where the divergence goes, because like I said,
well, because Lex is, I mean, he's the kind of villain who's like he wants to conquer the world, and Kingpin is, again, he's a crime boss, so his there's a lot more subterfuge and a lot more shadowy activity with the Kingpin. With Lex, I mean, Lex becomes president, at one point, so.
When the Kingpin becomes mayor, so that's it. They have.
The thing about that is, and that kind of captures like the scale of like both their ambitions.
Yeah, the mentality between the two, once certain creatives take over, is just goes on an entirely different thing, and it's amazing. You can compare it. It's fun to compare the two, but it's like Frank Miller's the line of delineation between anything else, because he changed Kingpin. He changed Kingpin from a Spider-Man villain to a Daredevil villain.
Pretty much, yeah.
And there's no going back.
I mean, they still periodically you'll see Kingpin and Spider-Man comics, and probably like the last like major time in any media. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's like that was the last like significant moment where you like saw the Kingpin as a Spider-Man villain was into the Spider-Man, and you notice like his portrayal, there is very different than what we see here. There's a reason for that.
Well, in his portrayal in the Spider-Verse is different than any other portrayal you'll ever see him in, because of the villain he's up against. It's just like I said, you could use Kingpin in anything you want him to use in, right? Anything that requires a central boss that it's a control freak and is control everything. But like I said, as far as the entertainment value, his time with Daredevil has defined both of them, and that's like I said, Frank Miller has got a testament, to the point where that's because of him.
And like when he was like principally a Spider-Man villain, I mean, it was, you look at it, I was like he had like he was almost like a James Bond villain, because he had there was more sci-fi to him in terms of like the technology
gadgets.
He used.
He always wanted a new gadget.
Yeah,
like, what can I do with this?
And then once he gets to Daredevil, it shifts to being
much
more of like
it gets ghetto.
Exactly, yeah.
It gets ghetto. It gets dark. It gets ghetto. We're starting to talk about drugs and heroin.
Well, it's to line him up too with the fact that his adversary is from Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, and the things like I said, the gadgets and stuff that would have been his muses and stuff in Spider-Man. Now you're in Hell's Kitchen. We got drugs and hookers here, so porn stars and everything else.
Oh man.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy's totally
not
okay.
Yeah.
He just fell through 3
If this
floors.
were Batman, we'd be like, he didn't kill him.
Well, not only is he not okay, probably Daredevil's not too far behind him. Like
All right,
realistically,
I'm at a commercial.
Yeah.
I will let you guys can pause now for those of you who are watching a later stream. There we
anyone
go.
who's here watching doesn't know who Tobias Whale is. He's black.
So how come Daredevil didn't hear his heart rate go up when he was about to beat him with the stick?
He was already elevated. His heartbeat was already elevated to the point where there's no difference.
Yeah, there are ways,
and he's in pain, so his everything is going to throw him off a little bit. He should have been on guard no matter what.
Yeah,
but
there are ways you can deceive Matt's senses. If you know what you're doing, or if it's again a situation like that where it's like there's he's dealing with injuries and blood loss, so he's already going to have an elevated heartbeat. So there are, and again, Matt's also probably in like a false sense of security at that moment with the fact that he thinks he's got this guy pinned down.
Yeah, because remember, this is the beginning of Daredevil. This isn't the guy who, like I said, in 5 years, you ain't gonna be able to get Daredevil. You won't even know he's in the room, type of deal, and you have no chance of fighting him unless you are some superhuman. But this is like,
and once again, never cauterize a wound if you can get to a hospital.
Nope, that's true.
Aaron's like, anyone here watching doesn't know who Tobias Whale is. Yeah, I watched a few episodes of it. It's like, I just didn't get as deep into Black Lightning.
The first season of it,
and that had not bad run. That was like 4 weeks.
No, it had a 4-year run, didn't it? Yeah, it had a 4-year run.
Well, it's like 4 seasons over 2 years or something. So.
Yeah. All right, we're back. All right, so we are at hold on, damn it. 25. Let's go to 25:12 and resume at 3, 2, 1. Resume. I got one more commercial break left. But the first season was kind of cool. The subsequent seasons, you felt CW. You felt the CW creep in. It was inevitable.
By the way, Aaron, trivia for you here. He was Cress Williams, of course, he played up Black Lightning on the show. He was actually he was on an episode of Lois and Clark. He was Baron Sunday on the episode Never on Sunday on Lois and Clark: New Adventures of Superman. And he voiced John Henry Irons in the Death and Reign of Superman animated movies.
Oh yay!
What else has he done? Yeah, and of course he was on. This is like coming up, I guess. He's going to be on Eyes of Wakanda. He'll be voicing the lion on Eyes of Wakanda, Disney Plus.
I don't know how I feel about that show, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah, in that hospital. Yeah. Again, it's health hospital. Although, again, it's like I've heard and this is why again they had to somewhat modify the backstory of Hell's Kitchen for the shows. I mean, Hell's Kitchen, it's called Hell's Kitchen because it's a ghetto in New York, or at least historically was. But I've read that it's actually gotten fairly cleaned up in modern times, and that's
it's got a bad reputation. It's still a working class neighborhood, but it's like Compton. Back in the 80s, Compton was like a war zone, but it's not a war zone anymore. It's been cleaned up. Certain places that were it used to be gang ridden. Magic Johnson has gone in and bought up businesses and stuff and brought them up. So yeah, it back when Daredevil was first created, though, it was a different reality. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff, and actually the home values in Hell Kitchen are starting to go up.
Well, and that's with what they the way it's portrayed on the show. That's kind of how they're able to update it and make it like a much more rundown place. Is that it took a lot of damage in the incident, as i.e. the Battle of New York and Avengers. So and that's where Kingpin comes in. He's masking himself as like the wealthy benefactor who's going to fix everything up. It's just kind of like laying the groundwork for his criminal empire. But so that's a way they sort of update Hell's Kitchen for modern times on the show. Preston is also on Living Single. Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of his work.
Wow. Where'd you dig that one, Aaron? Aaron, damn, I know that show.
Oh, Aaron's good.
What injury did this guy have? I missed it.
Didn't he have broken ribs?
Foggy?
Yeah, Foggy. He's moving way too much for someone with broken ribs.
Well, I mean, they were just like within like 8 feet of an explosion in the last episode.
Yeah, he
too,
probably
so.
has concussive damage to his entire torso.
It's like
oh no, I'm not. I just didn't know what injuries he had.
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I'm guessing basically from what he is, from where he was at in that blast. I'm going to guess that he has some concussive. It's kind of like an interior bruise. Believe it or not, guys, when you this is for the audience, when you watch a TV show and there's been mortar blast, most people don't die because of the mortar itself, the explosion. It's the concussive force and what it does to your body. That's what kills you. The pressure wave going through your body, turning it into jello.
It turns you into jello.
Yeah, I saw a movie because they had they would, when I went to ammo school, they would show these from the videos from Operation Iraqi Freedom, but Desert Storm, and they actually have videos showing you what happens to the people using the rounds that are sitting in front of you in class. Man, it's not pretty. The body turns into something that looks like a wave, and then just turns into just nothing, and the entire insides are gone. From a mortar that's about as big as my arm can do that to you. That's like, did I get in the right profession? This is fucking scary. Eardrums and shit. A lot of the guys.
You can tell he's doing CPR wrong.
Well, he is blind.
He knows what those ribs
are.
He's bending his elbows. You don't bend your elbows.
Yeah, I know. You have to keep elbows straight. One palm over the
other. A lot
other.
of people fuck it up though. That'll on combat lifesavers course. When you're doing it, and they'll fail you right there if you bend your elbows, because you're not doing anything. You're just basically hurting the guy.
And also, you don't just come back once things start working again. You're in a fog, you're in severe pain because your ribs are broken.
Yeah, you just had your ribs and shit shattered. Hey, thanks for saving me, but damn. Fuck my ribs.
I actually discovered Living Single after the Friends reunion because Living Single never aired here in Australia. Okay,
that's like a 25-year-old show. Man, you are digging.
Let me tell you something, Aaron. When I was at Screen Rant, when I was my first couple months there, I did this thing called TLDRs for a while there. Basically, what that is what we used to have like a kind of like a. It would be like 8 photo, little mini photos or so people could click on. That would be like, okay, just like click through 8 photos and would like give you kind of like the cliff notes of the of the article. And I used to do those for a while for like I did it for like other articles, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about so many shows I've never watched doing that. It's like I would read through an article, and it's like I would have to create a quick little summary of it, and I did that for like about 2 years there, and then I just mainly from there my time there was I was just writing my own stuff, and that could actually be pretty time consuming, like doing those. But other people like articles they did like on they're on a lot of TV shows like Friends or That 70 Show. Again, there were a lot, or Full House, or the Fuller House, I should say. There were a lot that I did for things that and for movies too, things I had never seen. It's like I feel like I would get like a crash course on a lot of things, like a lot of sitcoms or a lot of soap operas or a lot of series like that. Like I feel like what's a good one? What's a good one? I can try to think. Like what was a good one that I remember doing a lot on? I did a lot on Friends, actually. It's like, because I never watched Friends. And it's like, I learned so much about that show without ever watched a single episode from doing that. I actually kind of made that a little bit. I made like an interesting kind of like, because again, that was like
connected with that show or Seinfeld.
I was doing that on the side of like what I was doing, like writing wise. And I wasn't writing. I started writing more again, like when I ended doing TLDRs. Then my focus just became, I wrote like 3 times as many articles from that point. For the last 2 years I was there, but when I was doing those, again, it was in addition to the writing I was doing, which was less than what it would become, but I was still doing a lot of writing my own articles. But yeah, that was a really interesting experience doing that, because I like would take like a trip down a rabbit hole on so many different shows and movies that I had never seen, never really had any big interest in, but I come away from like doing a few of those almost like a scholar on that, because it's like I never watched it, but it's like I know all about it all of a sudden.
All right, this episode is like one of the darkest filmed episodes because
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, I remember this being like all over the marketing. Was this walkie-talkie conversation between Daredevil and Kingpin?
Hold on for a second.
Hmm.
I love this part.
Hmm. This is pretty much their first meeting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, Aaron. When Matt gets pissed, you don't want to be on the receiving end of that. Any more than you do Kingpin. Oh no, yeah, we're just we're really enjoying this exchange between Daredevil and Kingpin over the walkie-talkie. So we're just kind of letting them have the floor in it. I find it an interesting oxymoron to see a Roman Catholic superhero named is Daredevil. Very interesting. Well, that's and that's I mean there's a few different kind of reasons for it. It was Frank Miller who actually made Matt Catholic, um, and the whole Daredevil name that that's derived both from like the Hell's Kitchen origin because he before he's like officially dubbed Daredevil, he's called the Devil of Hell's Kitchen. So there's the Hell's Kitchen, origin for him, and there's also again the fact that again he's blind, but he's doing all this flips and kicks and like stunts and dangerous stuff. It's he's a daredevil in the literal sense, where it's like he's doing things that like a sighted person would be scared to do and doing it with ease. So, and that you add like the daredevil, the daredevil name and the devil horns and such. Yeah, that's kind of that's showing the dichotomy of Matt, with it is that he's very much a devout Catholic. That's very much a part of his character, part of his story. But he has a dark side. As that comes out when he's on his missions as Daredevil. So yeah, it's kind of a long way to sort of tackle like the Daredevil, his name and his Catholicism.
I'm at a commercial. So go ahead and pause for those of you who are watching. Whenever I try to speed it past the commercial, it leaves me in the wrong spot. So that's why
I remember that. That was actually one line I remember in the movie that I did really get a good chuckle at. It's when Matt's in the confession and his priest knows that he's Daredevil. They have the whole, it's like, I don't approve. It's like, I do this because nobody else can. And the priest says, I'm not a big fan of the costume either.
Oh, that's the devil. Now, for those who are watching, I didn't want to clutter up their interaction with us talking, because there are going to be people who are watching outside of us that are going to want to, I wanted their mind to be on what was being said, and then we could follow up afterwards. To answer your question there. All right, we are in a commercial break. And the volume. Yeah, that was an intense. That's the kind of thing that makes their relationship what it is, because that's the exact kind of conversation they would have in the comics. That's the conversations that they've had. That's why when you see Born Again, that's exactly the consistent with the conversations that they had throughout the series. Like, so I hope you guys, a lot of you guys, that okay, we are back, and we are back at 39:02. So in 3, 2, 1, play.
Bit of machine gun foo there. Yeah, I don't think they ever go like full John Wick on Daredevil, though.
Nah, not that kind of.
But yeah, when they do indulge in gun foo, it is pretty cool.
was arguably the best episode of season 1.
Think so?
Yeah. The intensity of it all was I don't recall. I have to watch the others again, but I don't recall it being this intense.
What would you say were your favorites of 2 and 3?
The last episode.
Last episode of 2?
I have to get back to you on 3.
Yeah.
3 had a lot of good.
3 is my favorite season overall.
Yeah. 3 was solid, and then you had, but to me, I think it was. What did I say the other day? 2, 3, 1. I forgot what I said, but
yeah, I think that's how you rank each season is 2, 3, 1.
Yeah.
I rank them 3, 1, 2.
And that's between 2 and 3 is a close. They're really close.
Yeah, this show doesn't have a weak season at all. So the show is fantastic across the board. And so when I see
what hurts some of the thing is this is a personal thing. The depictions of certain characters as we get deeper into the series, I did not enjoy, but they didn't kill any. They didn't kill the show.
Yeah, so when I say like 2 is the weakest season, that is a very light description.
Anytime the Punisher's on the screen during that 2. That's really
it's
a top
the weakest in a very light sense. To be clear, it's
Yeah.
still an awesome season. It's like the Punisher. That's what really made it. Yeah, I think people were really kind of speculating pretty early on. And yes, he does need a shave here. Well, that's that's also kind of highlights how how invested he is in his vigilante life. Oh man, I forgot how cool this tunnel fight was.
This reminds me of the Batman
Oh yeah, I see what you're talking about. Where they're firing the machine guns at him, he's just walking towards him, and it's only lit up by the machine gun fire.
Pretty sad when you have all those firearms, you have no fucking chance.
Yeah, because his with the rate. This is another way to highlight Daredevil's senses. His radar sense, his hearing is such that he can basically dodge bullets. Yeah, it was a very dark episode, Aaron. So, but the season 3, I would say.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. I love this interaction between them. That's what I wanted to.
All right,
All
and
right,
that is episode
that's
6.
it. That exchange that he has with him was cool. Not only the dialect, the conversation. It's the conversation. It's very. He has it in just about every season, and that conversation is a common thread that runs throughout Daredevil from about 1980s up till now. Is what are you willing to do to protect these things that are important to you, because these people you're up against have no compunction of doing it. It's the same conversation he has with the Punisher up on the rooftop. It's the same sort of conversation he has in 3. It's the same sort of conversation he has in every major story arc that you read in. Same as conversation he has with himself in Born Again, Last Right, all these things, or anything that where he goes up against somebody who has no hesitance in killing. And like that guy said, when you get into the cage with the animals, you become one, and the fighting doesn't stop until someone dies. That guy's right. But Daredevil, his constant battle is to not give in to that. And he comes very close. He's already sadistic to begin with. That's why I love that conversation that he had. This is a fucking criminal. This is a dead guy. He's a criminal. He's done horrible shit, but he knows. He knows the horror. And he's trying to tell Daredevil, and people try to tell Daredevil how this is going to end. And that's what I think the thing about Daredevil that makes him unique from any other superhero that Marvel has is that there's a constant balance. There's a constant sense of dread that hangs over even the happiest moments of this comic book, whether they're hanging out with Poggy and everything. There's a constant sense of dread that is coming at all times. And this show does it. It gives you, it doesn't hit on all marks. Like I said, certain characterizations are not what I would like them to be. But that sense of dread, that sense of just constant death, these people's lives don't mean shit to the people he's up against, but they mean everything to him. And that's what makes him a hero, because it's definitely not his ways and means. So I think this might be, I have to, as I go through, because it's been a long time since I've watched this, that I think I remember being at the end of the season as being my favorite one of the season 1. So like I said, but you got a lot of that coming along, so I enjoyed that. We're halfway through the first one.
Yeah, that we're making good time here, because we're halfway through season 1, which means we're about a sixth of the way through the show.
We got 33 episodes left, guys. Woohoo! But like I said, we just wiped out 6 within no time. So, and then one of these is going to be a marathon. So we'll wipe out a big chunk of that too. I hope you guys who are watching along are enjoying this.
And apparently, Kingpin has a lot of disposable people because he just killed some of his assets.
Yep, and that's exactly how he is. The way his characterization in here is almost perfect, because that's what people don't mean shit to him. And that guy told him he's going to do this to you. What he did to me, he's going to do to you. He's going to do to all the people around you, and that doesn't include his enemies. He'll fuck up a family member, or one of his closest allies. He is a doggy. Everybody exists to keep the Kingpin where he is. That's how he figured it, and he acts on it. So yeah, this episode was really the best episodes about that are in this series, in these 39 episodes, or where the dialect and the conversation is really going back and forth with the intensity. It's not so, the action is great. We had some great fight scenes in this series, but it's the best parts about this are the same things that make the comic great, because the fight scenes in the comic ain't shit. It's really hard to do those in there and get that kind of excitement. But the dialogue between him and some of the stuff I've read to you guys during our show that's from some of these comics, the "I am your God" comment, that's some intense shit. It's dialogue driven. It's text driven, and that's why I really like this episode. But like I said, there's some better stuff. As like I said, his banter with the Punisher, not just on the rooftop scene, his banter with the Punisher every time that they go back and forth is classic shit. You can just watch that.
There's one. I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but there's one when they and we'll know what I'm talking about when they're forced to team up in season 2, and Matt has to he shows a sign where it's like, it's like, okay, I'm contemplating, I might have to indulge your methods, and he does something there. Well, you know what I'm talking about. It's like it's a very Daredevil way to react to that. To react to the prospect of having to like kind of act like the Punisher.
Work around. Let's call it. I like to say work around is what I.
No, it's a brief moment, but it's yeah.
Cool. But yeah, there we go. All right, guys. Well, I got to pee. Too much information, but I didn't want to leave. I knew that scene was coming up. I didn't want to pause it or anything up there. I hope we are conveying and relaying the intensity of this show on these watch-alongs, especially for you guys who haven't seen it yet. You guys who've seen it, you've already pretty much you've made up your mind. You know how what it is. But for some of you guys who are coming along, we're never going to get this opportunity again to watch this for the first time with you, and then we'll all be in store for a first time when March 4th comes around. Then it'll be new to all of us. All this, me and Brad, we've seen this series before.
Oh, and by the way,
some of you guys have seen this.
Next episode is Stick. I am looking forward to that one because that has,
this is a very important character in the Daredevil mythology.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so all right, guys, that is it. I don't know. I got to do some shopping because I generally don't get out to the stores on weekdays and like the Walmarts and stuff like that before everything closes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There may be a show tonight, maybe not, because there's really nothing. This might be it. Nothing happened today, and it's just going to be another open Q&A. And you guys didn't have no questions last night, so
more microwave turkey.
No, those are for special occasions. I gotta knock out the dents to the microwave from the last turkey. So there you go. All right, guys. Please like, subscribe. If you're watching on Twitter, come over to youtube.com/@the-sci-fi-center. Go to the website. If you go to our website, thesci-fi-center.com, all those links are in the description. That's a landing page for all of our social media. Join it all and keep up to date with what we're doing. And if I see you later on in the night, I see you. If not, it'll be tomorrow night.
Later, guys.
See you all later.